20% of 20,000 is much less than 20% of 200,000. Next. Okay, so here's some mock-ups of what the UI could look like. So this is kind of like the landing page. Next. This is where you can create your group, name it. You can say whether your group is open or invite only. When you're creating a group, you're kind of like setting up the constitution of what the vote is required among group members to add to approve a new member or to remove a member, and how many votes it will take to change the rules themselves. Once you set this, you can't change the rules. Even the person who created the group can't change the rules unless those are obeyed. And this is where you specify your minimum. Okay, so yeah, go ahead, next slide. So this shows you, a potential group stats page. We're not going to use the word income generators. We're going to use probably income streams or value streams or something like that. Just to emphasize that these can be anything. They don't necessarily even have to be income. And that shows you, kind of like the stats of how your group is doing. And this is like the bucket that's filling up. Next. This is the invite a person to the group page. Next. This is what happens if you receive an invite. Yeah, it might look like this. Next. And you can fill in your profile, and you can also set limits to how much you want to receive or give, and then the algorithm adjusts fairness accordingly as well. Next. So this is so the group. The code for the prototype is live. It's on GitHub. If you go to github.com/okturtles, you'll see a listing. A group income simple is the repo that we're working in currently, and then later on we'll switch to this one, which is the final version. Next. So yeah, in conclusion, everyone is valuable, and the market doesn't recognize that, but some people would like to, and they can.
Thank you, Greg. Next on deck we have circles. Circles would come on down, and then after that there'll be two. Well, fix the links, or are you gonna? Because everybody's connected already. Is it one of the links that we can quickly put on and just have it show up there, because to connect the computer on
Alexis, lucky part
We want another group to go while we work on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then there was the GBI magic / magic.
Or actually, first, you question.
Oh, yeah, I think he went to the restroom.
Okay, well then let's do magic.
Okay, then magic it is.
Okay, magic
Come on
it
down.
is. Okay, awesome. Alrighty.
Alright, give it up for that.
I'm just gonna project, because I'm gonna use my hands here for a second. That's okay. And so I'm gonna present this to you as in a way where I'm presenting in front of an audience, because my vision is to be the communicator out there. That's my forte, and reach out to especially younger people, like in high schools and universities, because people in the general population don't even really know about this, especially young people, and they essentially are the future of tomorrow, right? So I want you to just kind of put yourself in that context, right? Right, so I want you guys in the next few minutes, I want you to really use something that you don't really use all the time, okay? And I want you to use your imagination, okay? I want you to imagine, okay, a world where all, okay, the basic needs, okay, and the income that you needed for that was all covered, and it just disappeared, and you never had to worry about it anymore. What would a world be like for you? What would you focus on? What would you have? What would you be? What would you do? Okay, so I want to show you something. Okay, my goal by the end of this, I want you to feel something different. I want you to see something different. Okay, because my goal is that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So if you can stand up, please stand up, guys. If you can stand up, please stand up. Okay, and I want you guys to stretch out your arms like this. Okay, like you're gonna hug someone, but if you're tempted to, don't do it yet. All right. Now turn your hands face down like this. Okay, now bring the left hand like that, down there, and the right hand close to it like that. So now everybody has their hands like back to back like that, right? Everybody? Now put the right hand over the left, okay, and then lock the fingers together, lock the fingers together. Okay, can you guys see that? Okay, now a lot of people, they're in this situation where they feel stuck. Okay, can you guys really move from that position? If you have your hands put together, see how, yeah, make sure yours is like, your two hands are, yeah, like crossed and then put together. Yeah, like exactly like that, yeah. Yeah, so most people, they feel stuck, like they can't really move and because they don't know where to go. But what I want to show you guys by the end of this presentation is that when you change the way you look at things, and you shift your focus and just see things differently, you become aware, things you look at will change and eventually get unstuck. Right? Now some of you got it because you might have seen it, okay? But in a second, I'll reveal it to you guys and how it's done. Okay, I'll reveal it to you guys and how it's done. So everybody sit down for a second, okay? Sit down for a second, okay? I know, so who here couldn't do it? Here couldn't do it, okay? Majority of you, okay? Some of you that saw it, kind of picked up on it, right? But later on, I'll reveal that to you guys. And those of you on the internet, please don't reveal this to anybody else. But I want to show you because the idea of having a basic income seems like such a, sorry, let me just kind of take this out here. You guys know what this is, right?
No.
Yeah, it's something that we don't all use. Myself, I don't use every single day. Okay, I'm admitting to that. But the guaranteed basic income, the way I look at it, sometimes looks so big of a problem that we can't even attack it, right? It's I had a mentor that told me, how do you eat an elephant? Anybody know the answer? One bite at a time, right? But there's so many things out there right now where we have access to that we're not aware of. I heard from someone here today that there's about 50,000, different resources out there. Is that correct?
Yeah.
About 50,000. How much money is out there right now that's available for us that's not being used? Billions upon billions of dollars. And we don't know about this, right? But like I said, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So there are a few steps that we can do to actually, start moving towards that guaranteed basic income. Okay, number one, access something like 211. Okay, 211 is a place where it's a central hub where you can bring all those crazy, pieces, put them together, and they'll give you access to all those resources. Okay, number two is you can actually just upgrade your knowledge on it. Okay, go to a website called guaranteedbasedincome.org. Okay, well, has tons of videos on there where you educate yourself. Because the first step about power is education, right? Educating yourself will give you more power about this. Okay, and the next thing is sharing the knowledge. If people don't know about it, send them resources, share it with more people, right? Because when you put all those things together, okay, all those little steps, and let me just break off one more piece here, if I can do it. Okay, it looks like a lot to take on, right? All those pieces, can you hold this for a second, please? Okay, but if you take all those pieces and you put them together, okay, kind of roll them up into a little ball like this, okay? And you take those small steps, what looked like such a big problem to overcome and to kind of make into a reality. Let me just take that a little bit. I use a little bit of saliva for this one. Yeah, what seemed like such a big reality to actually make a reality. Can you help me for a second? Can you hold on to one? Stand up for a second, please. Okay, and hold on to one side. Hold on to one side. And who else? Can you stand up here for a second, please? And hold on to one side. Okay. Yeah, just the one side. Okay, and I want to show you the power. Look, when you put all those pieces together, when you take those small steps, when you educate people, when you educate yourself and share the knowledge, and you go to a resource like 211, look, this is where all the magic happens. And what seems such a big thing to accomplish is actually, look, go ahead, start pulling. it's actually possible.
Wow.
So what I have up here, guys, is just a website that, like, I didn't know what I was gonna do when I came here. I wanted to really see what you guys were up to and use my ability of magic to convey a message. And that's just like a rough script that I came up with, right? But what my idea is to use magic as a tool to get that message out there, especially to young people, and even at live events like high schools and universities, to create more awareness and educate them, and in conjunction with actually making this into a reality eventually. So yeah, that's my idea, and that's how I'm contributing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan, for that awesome magic show. Are we ready for circles? Cool. All right, come on down. Please give it up for circles. Or can you send some diets or just send her the link and then she can post it?
From here.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, then I go.
All right.
Take this one. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Okay. So Circles is already an ongoing project, and again, the idea is really to implement the basic income directly into currency. So the question is, what is money? What is money? Money is really an agreement within a group to use this thing as a tool to distribute resources. So if you have some money, that means, and within a group, and the group can be the United States or even bigger, then this medium, this money gives you access to the resources of the group. Another group will not care maybe about this money. So money is really a social contract, basically. And the idea of Circles is to improve the social contract, improve the money that we have and use today, and bake into it the idea of a basic income. Again, yeah, the question was, what is money? And it's can be defined as agreement within a community to use something as a medium of exchange. The important thing is our money and monetary system are not, it's not a God-given fact. We have choices. We have choices to change it and to add other agreements into the money. Next slide. Yeah, again, the idea of Circles is that directly in the money system, the basic income is added. So we have a money where every participant in this money system directly gets new money. It's just created. Like today, even the US dollar, the total amount of US dollars increases every year by roughly 5%. But this money is not given equally to the people. It goes through complicated processes to banks and central banks, and often does not reach the economy. So instead of creating the money at the top, at central bank level, just give out a piece of the new money just equally to every person. And that is what Circles is about. Next slide. Yeah, we can skip that. So it is money that tries to serve the people. It is positive money that is not created through debt. Instead, it's just given out. It's somewhat similar to Bitcoin. Yeah, it will be used on blockchain. We have can go to the last slide. We have a forum about Circles. We have a blog. There is some code produced, and we will start soon with a crowdfunding campaign and community in Berlin. And we have few shops that agreed to accept this money and to get get it started, and that is Circles. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Next, we have guaranteedbasicincome.org. Jim? Come on in.
Just like give it up for Jim.
I have the poster and the trifold up as well.
Okay, cool. Good. I'm actually going to take half my time to talk about a group that give a shout out to Kathy White, Eric Anderson, and KK Holland, who were here on Friday, but were not able to make it for the weekend. I don't know if you got the document that she prepared. What we were reviewing was, can we come up with a logo or an image that says, basic income, as soon as you look at it. Surprisingly difficult. And so what we've done is put together an analysis of our thoughts from the weekend, and we're going to put that on Reddit, ask for feedback and suggestions and so forth to see exactly. There's some existing logos that are out there now, and they work for what they are, but we're trying to find something very, Eric especially as a psychiatrist, want to find something that hits you really in the heart. And we may or may not be able to find one logo because there's so many different perspectives of it. But that's what we're working on, and we're going to be presenting that through the subreddit and asking people for feedback and input and so forth and so on. Okay. Being that the other folks weren't able to make it this weekend, I went and worked on a project for myself. If you could go back to the homepage and scroll down just for a couple of buttons there. I'd like to pass these out to everybody. If you just take one and pass it by. That one, unfortunately, my printer jammed up on me this morning, so I don't think I have enough of the first one. I should have enough of the second one. If you click on these top two, that would be great. Everybody's seen a pool on fire, you're in a room or selling your car, or you got puppies or something that's running your hair. It didn't come out right. This is something that you can download and stick someplace, and people who want to, what the heck is that? And quite frankly, I stole it from what I've seen in England and in Europe. Big bold letters, what the heck is this? I have no idea what this is. Take time to go look and see what it is. And then the next button down on that page is a trifold brochure, who, what, when, where, why, and how. And most people don't know the who, what, when, where, and why because they don't know anything about basic income. So it's easier. I can help other people by putting words on paper so that if you can't find the words when somebody goes who, what, when, where, why, here's some words that you could point to so that you can get an answer to their question. And then at some point people say, well, how can I help? And from a magician to everything else, everybody has their own unique way of doing it. But it really starts with getting informed about what is this. And I've learned from all of the folks here, I've had my awareness open and my knowledge base, enhanced. We all have much to learn. I don't think there is one answer. There's so many different ways you could do basic income. I don't think anybody can dictate it's going to be this way, it's going to be that way. But my goodness, there's so much out there that people have not even seen. It's been a wonderful weekend, so thank you.
And hopefully you will all get a chance to check out Jim's website. He's been working on it for a while. He's got quite a list of links and a lot of information that's really good to check out. So please check it out, guaranteedbasicincome.org. Next, we have Articulate Research. Anyone here to represent? Yes.
Yeah, right here.
Okay, so the challenge of what we originally tried to do is a bit bigger than Breadbox, so we didn't really finish, but we got a lot of information together, set sort of realistic market expectations about what we can do. Our goal was to create data visualizations of both the problem of not having basic income and what the potentials are for having basic income. To do this, takes a lot of research about what is available data-wise. Alexis and David participated. Frank Howell, who's not here today, participated with a lot of information of his own. What we have up here at the top is just showing the atrociousness of where the United States falls on the scale of poverty. So the poverty rates, we are only beaten by Israel and Mexico. Everybody else is doing better than us. Wealthiest nation in the world has no excuse for this. Oh yes, these are the two that have basic income. And look at that, they just happen to be at that end. So data visual. This is the nice thing about data visualization is like you just sort of get it right away, and you get the scale of it, and you just don't really have to have an understanding of math necessarily. You just have to be able to tell this is bigger and that's smaller. Yeah. So data visualizations have a lot of potential to help convince people once they start getting interested in the topic.
This is similar.
This is a similar graph. The Gini coefficient, it measures inequality specifically. So theoretically, you could have a lot of people in poverty, but there aren't many rich people. But this also measures the fact that there is available wealth. It's just not being evenly distributed. So again, here we are. This time it's Turkey and Mexico who beat us. And oh, look at that. Basic income. Yeah, we have that in. So San Francisco, we're gonna talk a bit about possible policy changes that could actually be implemented at a local scale. It's also befitting that it would be voluntary because it would be at a small enough scale that you just move away if you don't like to participate in this. But San Francisco, how many would disagree that San Francisco does not? How many would disagree that San Francisco has a affordable housing problem? A bunch of us who are from San Francisco live there. We see the pain in our friends and family, the displacement costs, communities being torn apart. It's reaching a crisis. I mean, really, something has to change soon, or we're going to see some. I don't know what's going to happen, honestly. So right here, Alexis was able to do some research to basically come up with what it currently is right now, the amount of money income you would have to make to be at or above the poverty threshold. The minimum, it's considered the minimum required to exist. So the minimum required to exist. She also found out that these are the industries. This is just slightly above, so we just included in here because it's obviously a very important component of the community. These are the industries where if you are an employee, if employed by that industry in San Francisco, and you live in San Francisco, this is is it the mean or the median?
It's a typical salary
Mean.
for someone who works in that industry.
Okay. So this is a typical salary, falling below the poverty level. So apparently, even though we need transportation, food, healthcare, all this stuff, apparently we don't consider it. If you do that, you deserve to exist in our community. So I'm not sure why this paradox of we require you, but we don't quite understand, we don't feel it's our responsibility to say, give you enough to actually exist and participate in our economy. So what's happening is a lot of people who are, the only solutions they can come up with is to move like 50 to 100 miles away, increasing load on our infrastructure, causing all sorts of negative side effects in family and disruption to friends and just social life. And it's compounding over time. Just existing at that below the threshold compounds the cognitive load and all these things start taking a toll mentally and physically on yourself. So I have become sparked by the big question: how do you find a basic income? That's a big topic that is difficult to come to agreement on, to say the least. But where there is a problem, there may also be a solution. So what is considered a problem right now are these explosions that are happening. property. It's not a coincidence that the only thing that no human has ever created is being exploited by a very small segment of the population to accumulate more and more wealth over time. And in fact, the boom and bust cycles of our economy over time drive this inequality. And one of the major components of it is real estate. These are a bit backwards. Let's go to this one first. This shows something that we kind of understand, but we always, I think everybody has a bit of confusion on is like, how does ownership of land actually work? You don't actually own land. You have a title to exclusivity for rights to a piece of property through some. That's what the government facilitates, is these titles. So the shell game, over time, is basically set up like this. The occupants, you pay some of it back into rent to others and so on. But a lot of it is basically going to the landowners. But no matter what kind of argument you can make, they don't have to do anything, right? They do not participate in the economy. They are a drain. A giant amount of money is going out. You can see the Panama Papers and other things. This is the major shell game going on right now. This is where the wealth extraction is happening. This is why our productivity keeps increasing, and you don't see any gains from it. Government also, you can also say, is wasteful. They take taxes on a variety of things that are regressive, like a sales tax. Just a bunch of taxes that are regressive. They're not taxing negative externalities. They're not taxing things that we wish people would do less of, for the most part. So then if you go back up to the next model, previous model. This would be what's called a land rent system. Land value tax is also another alternative name for it. The proposal is actually something that was started by an economist from the 19th century who lived in San Francisco, Henry George. You can say this model crosses a spectrum. Libertarians, left, right, liberals have all, when they've seen this, this has been called the most sensible tax. It may, in fact, could be the only tax that ever exists in a particular region. You could eliminate all the other taxes, and it would be considered the fairest because the model really almost is automatic. The value derived from community is from the people who participate in the economy. It's not from the ownership of land. So what happens is that there's ways to calculate this, and it would be roughly proportional to what we consider property value, except it's not the property that sits on top of it, the tax. You just tax what that square foot of land is. So why is a square foot of land in San Francisco worth so much more than Kansas? It's because of the community that's around it, right? So there's no other qualities that make sense to estimate the value. So this model would basically return, this could be like, this could be driven through even like an automated system like an Ethereum backplane or something like that. You can have it automatically levy rents on land, and instead of land ownership, you bid on title, and it's not that complicated, but it's a lot of jargon terms that they have to introduce. But essentially, it's a closed system, so the rent, even if it was in billions or tens of billions of dollars, would be returned to people, ideally as a basic income. There's things that I've proposed that if people are very squishy about just giving people cash, you could create alternative currencies, like a coupon for housing. That could be like used as cash, like it could be the equivalent thereof. And you sort of bypass the cognitive blockages people have about just giving people money. So I can get into the details, but I think we're running out of time. Let's just get through here. This is just showing like the scroll down. About 170 billion is the estimate for residential property. I spent all weekend trying to get to this number. I got close, about half, 50% of it. There's a big problem in data out there about assessments of value and all that. Probably not an accident because it helped. What people have done research into this have noticed that, oh, it seems to be that extremely valuable property is way underassessed value-wise for tax reasons. So $100 million condo or gets assessed at $5 million, and you want to pay tax on the $5 million. So there's a lot of data science that could be techniques that can use to show this bias, to show what it could be, what the actual value of the land is separate from the property. Some of the research has been done in New York already, and it's about 10 times the size, and his estimate was at 1.6 trillion for the land value. The land value rent per annum has been estimated about 5%, so for San Francisco, that would be about 7 or 8 billion, I guess you could say. And that could at the very least, eliminate poverty in San Francisco. And the mechanisms and I guess you could call the gamification change, or whatever it is, the rules of the game change, to the degree that it would encourage more affordable housing, higher density, better use of the land. A lot of good stuff can come out of this. It's finally gaining some traction. Not too many people really knew about land rent because it kind of fell out of favor after early 20th century sort of economic decline, but it's becoming resurgent again. There are countries around the world that do implement this and do have positive numbers. I think we can pull from that, from their experiments. But yeah, we could actually, if San Francisco's, we do crazy stuff sometimes, so we have a shot. Maybe a small shot, but still a shot. We could do something like this and show the world an incredible, achievements and experiments that may actually work and change the world for better. So I think that'd be a good thing.
Thank you guys. It's an awesome presentation. A lot of data. Also really interesting data to look at. So thank you.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep updating this. So, and if we decide to expand the site, it'll have links to that. So go to that site for the future.
Great. Keep it up. Thanks so much, guys. And then we have the 211 group. I don't know who will be the official representative. There's so many people involved in this one. Ellen? Cool. All right. Give it up for the 211 group.
Thank you. I'm Ellen Sloan, and I represent a large team. So we'll have a listing of that. And we took a slightly different approach from what everybody else has taken here, and then we're trying to deal with what the system is right now. And it could be argued that there is a basic income amount that is available, not necessarily all the same amount for everybody, but there are different qualifications for that. And what we're trying to do is we bifurcated it in trying to do an advocacy story, and part of that we'll talk about. And then the other part is through technology, creating the lever to create a smoother pathway incrementally towards basic income. So these are our team members. We have a rather large team, and so I'm now going to turn it over to Erica. Yes. Okay. And so she's going to talk about the advocacy piece.
Oh, do I have to do this? Can I just talk loud? Will that work? Sure. Okay. So, do we have a slide that has, yes, these statistics? Okay. So we think it's really important to put a human face on all these statistics and all the data. And so one thing we'd like to do, but weren't able to do just in this weekend, is have some kind of a platform where people can upload their own stories, something along the lines of Humans of New York or StoryCorps or something like that. But since we didn't have time or access to do that, what we did was we made up a kind of representative story of one person's experience, and I'm gonna have to read it because I haven't memorized it, but of actual human beings for whom a basic income would make a huge difference in their lives. And there are millions of these people. And if we could get all those stories in one place, I think that would be something that would, as you were saying, touch people's hearts more. And that has more power to actually change people's minds, I think. So anyway, here's the story we came up with. My husband and I were living happily in our apartment for 9 years. We had our 2 children while we lived there. Our rent was affordable because of an agreement the real estate developer had made with the city, but that agreement had a time limit. When time was up, we were notified that our rent was going to triple. We couldn't afford that, so we had to move out. The only affordable apartments nearby had long waiting lists. We found an apartment we could afford, but it was in another city and half an hour's drive away. My husband needs our car for work, so I had always taken the bus to my job. From the new apartment, I have to take 2 buses, and my commute time more than doubled. We both have to leave in the morning before our children leave for school, and neither of us can get home before they do, so now we have to pay for childcare. On top of that, the children are having difficulty adjusting to their new school, and the stress is affecting all of us. We had managed to build up some savings, but moving expenses took a chunk of that, and our new expenses for childcare and transportation ate up the rest until we became unable to pay our monthly bills. We didn't want to apply for public assistance. We've always been proud that we could take care of ourselves and our kids, but eventually we had nowhere else to turn. Our income is just a little bit too high for us to qualify for most programs, but we do qualify for CalFresh food stamps in California. It took a while to get the paperwork through. We had to provide copies of so many documents, and our caseworker changed twice during the process. I don't know why that happened. Nobody ever told us, and I was afraid to ask too many questions. I didn't want to be seen as difficult. Finally, we got our EBT card, and it does help us afford food. Unfortunately, we can't use it for anything else, not even grocery store items like soap and toilet paper. It has made us able to pay our bills again, just barely, but I'm afraid of what will happen if the car needs repairs or one of us gets sick. We have to submit a form every 6 months to prove we are still eligible for assistance. If one of us gets a raise of even 50 cents an hour, we will no longer qualify, and it's highly unlikely either of us could get a single raise big enough to replace our monthly benefit. I can't imagine turning down a raise, but we might have to consider that if the situation arises. We are grateful that CalFresh is available to us, but it would have helped us much more if we could have money we could put toward childcare or a second car, or even better, the ability to pay that higher rent until an affordable apartment became available in our area. We were so much happier there. So the idea is collect a whole bunch of stories like that, make them all available, allow anybody to upload their own story. There are so many stories that illustrate these kinds of things so well. Yeah, so I'll turn it to you.
So as Erica said, there are millions of these stories. If you go to our website at 201la.org, you see we've helped over 27 million people since 1981 when we started. But what we want to do is really take that momentum and build a platform that justifies the need to look at an alternative approach to helping people. So currently what we find is that even though the government is spending billions of dollars to help people, to provide a social safety net, an economic safety net for people like the family that Erica depicted, the problem with that money is that it's invested into silos, right? So you have education, health, food, social services, child family services, mental health, and people don't think in silos, they think in terms of life situations. And so the story that we heard, you hear about a unique situation of a family that needs a little from here, a little from there, and a little from here. And you hear those stories in different iterations. Everybody has a unique situation. So nobody has a clear-cut path to support. The way that funding is allocated now makes it extremely complex. What you find as you try to traverse services is that you have this complete chaotic bureaucratic mess that regular people cannot begin to understand, let alone navigate when they're in crisis. When you're in crisis, you're just trying to figure out how to make ends meet, how to get from one day to the next. How are you ever going to figure all of this out unless you have the time to research it and have someone to call? And many of you probably never heard of 211 until you met us this weekend. So, you know, we have millions of people out there who need help, who don't have access to this information, who aren't able to navigate this process for many reasons. The family we heard of had some resources. There are people out there who are living in their cars, don't have access to the internet, maybe don't speak English. And so the challenge for them gets even harder. This diagram was created by Margaret Dunkel, who is a policy scholar, because she was using it to show how difficult it is for families to navigate services. And she came to 211 and asked us to start looking at a simplified process for families with children with developmental delays and autism. And through that process, we've learned so much about how to help people. The weekend that we have spent together has really also opened our eyes as to a solution that will take us from just trying to make sense of what is here now to what could be more possible in the future. Because we want to get rid of this, right? We want to make it simple. If you need help, you should have a basic income so that you can figure out life on your own without having to then add this mess to it. But we have to start where we are. So the starting where we are begins with simplifying the process and the access to those services. We want to make sure that there is a way that you can access all of this information by one step or one process that is super simple. And that's what we've done this weekend. So we have taken our resources at 211 with our database of 50,000 different services and programs, and the new API that we've developed over the last couple of months. And then we partnered with the wonderful team of Ellen Sloan and Ruby Guillen, and we are going to be testing something and actually implementing it from this process. And we've created what we're referring to as the lever, the one-step process. And I'm going to let Ellen talk to you a little bit about that, because it's a combination of her coding, her programmers and our programmers. Are we going to let them do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they're going to show you. So they spent the weekend coding, taking the the assessment process that we've refined and connecting it to our API. And we actually have a workable product that we're going to be launching.
Hi, how you doing, guys? So we spent the weekend really learning about the API that 211 developed, really extensively powerful. So that took us a little bit of time to kind of get through. So the form and the system we developed is just a starting ground for what you can accomplish with the database, the data that it has, that intense amount of data. So I'm just going to show it here. I don't have a PowerPoint, but basically the whole goal is to start off with the form. You're going to be asked, simple questions: your marital status, whether you have children, are they underage, are you experiencing domestic violence? And just based off those simple questions, you don't have to do any of the searching yourself about what services might help you. We have logic built in that will actually pull the correct services for you and display them right there for you to see. So what I have right now is you just click view search results and it'll connect to the database, and you'll just have a listing of the services, a description, their phone number, maybe how far away they are, a link. I know Johan has a clear version of how that's going to look. We just weren't able to get through the version process fast enough.
So once the user goes ahead and submits those 5 questions, they're directed to another page here with a list of the results. And then they're also asked to answer 3 more questions that will determine whether or not they qualify for 4 other services: CalWorks, CalFresh, CalWIC, and Cal
And utility assistance.
So I'm just going to put in, so the 3 questions are number of people in the household. I'm going to put down 3, and then gross monthly income. Let's keep it kind of low. So $1,000, and then the zip code. And based on those 3 questions alone, very simple, you get search results. You can find out whether or not you're eligible for those, for any of those 4 services. And if you do qualify, there's a link to the websites to apply.
So man, that was that's what we got done. I hope you guys can see the power of this system, rather than having somebody just have a list of like 1 billion services. You know, what is my situation? And then here, let us do the searching for you. So we're just starting out with the API. It's pretty awesome.
Look for us at the Central Library first Tuesday of the month. Reason why we see a Central Library, I've actually reached out to Tanya. She's the head honcho for mental health in LA County. What she's trying to do is set up Central Library as a test bed, providing services to homeless and those who are in need. She was with us yesterday. We presented our project to her, and she said yes. She's willing to let us test this project, Central Library, and we're about to have a go at it. So again, check us out, 211 LA County. Thank you.
Great. So thank you 211 LA for coming out and participating. There were so many of you guys, I wasn't sure where the group ended. It was great to see such incredible participation. But I think it was also really valuable for those of us who got to check out the project and talk to you guys a little bit to understand, you know, basic income is what we're trying to look forward to the future and make happen. And 211 is providing a service that is really necessary here in the now. But you guys clearly see the future of where it could be and how, much more efficient and streamlined and how it can apply to everybody in the future. So that's really important that we not only tackle what's going on right today, but we work toward what the tomorrow would be, which would be a basic income for everybody. So with that, there is one final project, 2 final projects, excuse me. Sorry, and want to go first, David?
Sure.
Okay. David, everybody.
I think one of the biggest obstacles to basic income is a lot of people, actually most people who've never heard of the idea, I've read online, I've seen their comments, they feel like we're not doing the numbers. They feel like we're being unrealistic. They feel like we're not grinding through the specific numbers, the numbers that affect their lives, like rent, food, gas. They think we're not accounting for these numbers, and that's not true at all. So I think, so here's one humble presentation, taking San Francisco as an example. Can San Francisco afford a basic income? Okay, so here's the median living cost of San Francisco. A 2-bedroom apartment is $55,800 for 1 year. Of course, this could vary depending on what kind of living situation you choose. If you're a 1-bedroom, if you live in a rich area, a poor area. But basically, taking rent, transportation, food, groceries, some basic numbers into account, it would be something like $61,408 per year. Just taking one example, median, like a median income, median place to rent. And if you take that number and you multiply it by 864,816, which is the population of San Francisco, that's $53 billion that we would need to provide everyone kind of median level of basic income. Now let's look at the budget for San Francisco. You can ignore the gross total, but basically the net total is what we're looking at here, and that's $9 billion. That is the total budget for San Francisco. So San Francisco has a budget total of $9 billion, and the total basic income for every person in San Francisco would be $53 billion. So unfortunately, that wouldn't work at the state level. There's simply not enough money by a lot. So the money definitely would not come from San Francisco's budget, no matter what cuts we make. It would have to come from elsewhere. How about the national budget? And I apologize, I ran out of time. The second half of the presentation was supposed to be about our national budget and then what kind of numbers that we can see. But I can give you a quick summary. That would also be really difficult because even right now, looking at the total numbers for our U.S. total budget, we're still in a deficit. There's not that much money to spare. Most of the money, as we all know, goes to things like war, and a lot of other useless projects. So I think the point I'm trying to make is not to be pessimistic and say, oh, it doesn't work in this one state. I think it's a good step to see what doesn't work and what does work. We know that it doesn't work if we try and take the money state by state. It didn't work for San Francisco, so it's probably not going to work statewide for other states as well, assuming that budgets are pretty similar across the board. So we would definitely need to take the money from our national registers and also think of other sources of where we can get this money from. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I was hoping you might talk about LA here, but San Francisco. So, all right. Well, with that, I guess the last project is my own. Was fortunate enough to work with Jim and Natalia a little bit over this weekend, just to put together a quick overview. I think there's, in my personal opinion, I think there's a missing piece of basic income in the information out there. There's a lot of different sources. There's a lot of people, very passionate people, especially on the Reddit subreddit for basic income, that write really interesting articles with a lot of facts and numbers that are quite long. And I think that there's no central location to really distill a lot of the facts from those articles into a place that anybody who wants to learn about basic income for the first time can view sort of, step by step, category by category, with a question that pops in their head, a nice, concise answer. More concise than how I'm explaining it right now. So the idea would be whybasicincome.org. The idea would be to have quickly answerable questions, concerns, reasons for it, and just an update as to where basic income lies today in the different countries that it's being applied. So taking all that information out there with a fire hose of articles and really putting it in a digestible form for anybody to view on their smartphone or on their computer. We have an idea of what it might look like in a PDF form that Natalia was able to help put together. Just a nice, clean overview. Very simple, direct to the point. Click the FAQ, see some questions that are really, jump out that most people want to ask. Click on a specific category as to the reasons for basic income and get a number of reasons as to why, right there at your fingertips. So really taking that and really focusing it for everybody to learn about basic income very quickly. Hopefully this will be a mechanism, along with all the other amazing projects that you guys are working on, to help get more people involved in basic income, to understand its importance, and so to realize that basic income is going to need to be here very soon, and that we need to make it happen together as a group. So with that, thank you very much for all of your time and effort this weekend.
All right, thanks everyone.
Woo.